So I'm Matteo Carandini. I'm a professor of visual neuroscience at the Institute of Ophthalmology at UCL. I study visual neuroscience, and in particular I'm interested in this visual cortex and how it puts together information from the outside world with information that comes from within the brain. For example, you might see my face once, or might see it twice or three times, and hopefully your brain reacts differently the first time, and the second time, and the third time. And in practice, we study that in the brain of mice that are navigating a virtual environment, mostly. We think that our research is potentially important for society. Mostly we do it because it's fundamental research and we want to understand how the brain works. But we think it's potentially important for society if it leads to a better understanding of, for example, of mental disease. Putting together information from the world with information that the brain comes up with is a fundamental thing that the brain does. And it might be dysfunctional in some mental diseases such as schizophrenia. So if we understood the rules by which this integration is done, hopefully we could help one day patients with schizophrenia. So far what we've found is that even some areas of the brain that we thought were just purely visual actually play a much larger role. If I can give you an example, some of our research involves studying how mice navigate in an environment. And because we want to measure the activity of their brain and we want to know where their eyes are pointing, we don't have them go into an actual environment, but we put them in a virtual environment. If I can give you a quick example here, there would be a mouse running on this wheel, and as it's running on the wheel, it's looking at that virtual environment, which would look more realistic if you were a mouse, because mouse vision is much more blurry than a human. And as it's going through this environment, as you can see, different textures, the environment is simply a corridor, and different textures go by. And so we've been recording in two pieces of the brain. One is visual cortex, which, as the name implies, is supposed to be involved just with vision, and the other is the hippocampus, which is supposed to form maps of where the animal is in the virtual environment. And the surprising result is that even the visual cortex contained much more information about where the animal was and how fast it was going than we thought. So maybe vision and navigation come together sooner than one might have thought.